Hi there, welcome to Subpar Stitches. My name is Hillary, and this is my Flosstube channel. It's been like 3 weeks since the last time I filmed. I was supposed to film last week, and like August and July have just been really hectic. And so last week when I was supposed to film, I was like, I don't really have much of anything. And also I'm busy, so I just decided I'll push it a week, and now I have too many things, and also I'm busy, so like I just really screwed myself with that one. But whatever, we're gonna do it anyway. So I have stuff to show you. I've got finishes, fully finishes, I have a new start, I have some whips. I pulled out an older whip that you guys haven't seen in a while, and you'll be like, oh, I didn't know you were still doing that one. So I have quite a bit, and I have some other crafts, and I've also, instead of, because like I've told you guys before, I stitch a lot at work, but I just have been like, kind of like zonked lately, just doing a lot of wedding planning, a lot of like family stuff, which it's draining, let's be real. Like it's kind of draining. And then because of all that, I just decided, like, while I was at work, I was like, I just want to read books. Also, I was talking to Chandria, and we were talking about books, and she was like, oh, do you have a Goodreads? And I was like suddenly embarrassed because I was like, oh, I've only read like 7 books this year. So I was like, yeah, I do. Here you go. It's embarrassing. So then I was like, great, now I gotta bump up my number. So that was part of the inspiration for reading quite a few books. So I'll do like a quick, like, I don't know, couple sentence review of every book towards the end. And everything is time-stamped, so if you're like, books are boring, you're weird, you can skip that. And if you're like, I love books, you can still skip it, because I'm not like an intellectual, so I don't have a lot of cool stuff to say. But let's hop right into it, and I will show you my fully finishes first. That's hard to say. I did these this morning. So Rob and I went last weekend, I think, to Michael's, and because I wanted to get a frame for my meditation garden, which if you clicked on the thumbnail, you saw that. And I have like one aesthetic, and it's everything matches all the time forever. And Rob's much better at like pulling inspiration from other things, so I invited him to come along with me if he wanted to, and he did, and he helped me pick out all these frames, and he's much better at this kind of stuff than I am, so I was happy to have him. So first is, I'm gonna have to scoot back a little bit. This is Meditation Garden. This is by Jan Hicks Creates, and I stitched with the Miss Seda Silks 1/2 on something. I don't know. I forgot. I'll pop it up on the screen. It's been a while since I finished this one. This is the one that's going to go in the state fair, and I have to bring it in soon. There's no, I'm not going to touch it because I just ate lunch. I wash my hands, but I'm always paranoid. There's no glass because the Michigan State Fair said no glass. And it's this kind of like rustic, like it almost looks like, oh, it was on the floor, so it got fuzzies on it. But it looks like it's got like these burn marks on there. It just kind of like chipped out. And this is not at all a frame I would have picked. But Rob was like, I think this will go well. And I was like, okay, I'll trust you. And I honestly really like the way this looks. The way I framed all 3 of these that I'm showing you, I used sticky mat board. Nobody come for me. All of you archivists and preservationists, don't yell at me. I don't care if these don't make it past my life, because once I'm dead, I'm dead. I don't care what happens to my stuff after that. Like, a lot of people are very concerned with like a legacy. I don't need a legacy. I am just that interesting that I don't need stuff to outlast me, okay? So I don't care. I don't care. I had a lady get really, like, in real life, like a lady get kind of upset with me that I said, like, I use like sticky mat board and stuff like that. She was like, because she was a museum archivist, and I was like, lady, these are not going to hang in a museum, okay? These are going to hang in my home, and then if I have kids, they will be like, my mom is so annoying, and we're throwing away all of her crafts when she dies, and that's fine. That's okay. I get it. But yeah, this, I think it looks really good. And so then the back, looks really nice and neat. And I gotta tell you, I know this is kind of curving in a little bit. It was really hard to frame something that has a kind of hard-edged border and make it nice and even. So, newfound respect for framers, because this is not my day job. So, if they look a little bit wonky, whatever. It's a creative difference. Okay, if the lighting changed, I had to go do something for 20 minutes because my fiance called me and was like, I messed up our budget and I don't know what I did, so I had to go solve that. So, anyways, I think I showed you only the first one. So then the second one, this frame is huge. This is my long dog, and this frame is heavy. And this one does have glass. I was originally going to submit 2 to the fair because I misread the entry form, but you can only do 1. So I was like, all right, I'll just put the glass in this. And, you know, obviously you can see my ring light and the reflection of my window. The top, I feel like I kept pretty straight. And then you can see, maybe, if the ring light wasn't there, there's like a slight, just a little bit of a curve. It's fine. This is huge. Like, what was I thinking? But it framed up relatively nice. Rob picked this one. He liked the deeper, like, recess of the frame here. He thought it looked nice, and I was like, okay, well, you're the expert, so that's what we went with. And then this one, Rob was like kind of just obsessed with this frame, and I think he was looking for an excuse to pick it, but it actually works really well. So this one I didn't put the glass in because it's got beads, but this is the Lady Man. This is Bendy Stitchy, and this, like I said, there's no glass. I'm just making sure it's all stuck down. It's like a rose gold frame, and I'm not like a big rose gold girly, but the fabric has kind of like a barely there pinkish hue, so it kind of worked really well. And I don't know, this one framed up really easy because it's like, it just had to be centered. Nothing really had to be like perfectly aligned, because like the other two, they had like very stark outside borders that you can tell if they're not, you know, lined up. And these are all stitched on either linen or even weave, which is like super flexible, which makes it even more of a pain to kind of straighten out, you know. But I don't know what I'm gonna do with any of these, because they're all like wall hanging type of frames. They're not like stand frames. I don't know. I kind of want to move soon, so like after I get married, so I'm like, do I really want to like put all this up and then have to take it down and then move? And I don't know. I'll put it with my other stack of framed items that I haven't hung up on the wall. And then I did have one finish. So this one's a little bit more involved to fully finish, because this is Romeo the Groom Mouse, and this is by Just Nan. And I don't know if you're going to be able to see this super well because the fabric is really light. But it kind of looks like a bat right now. It's going to look like a mouse. And he has all these little accessories. There's like a little top hat in there and a tail and stuff like that. And they have pretty detailed finishing instructions. I'm hoping I can find like a YouTube video, because my reading comprehension lately has been garbage. Like, I just look at a page and I'm like, yeah, I understood that, and I didn't read a single word. I don't know what's going on. But yeah, so this stitched up really quickly. I'm gonna do Juliet, the bride mouse. I was like, what? The bride mouse next. This is all called for, which, by the way, is what? 32 count Silver Moon Belfast linen. And it's for the Romeo, it's all DMC, but for the girl, it has a Krynic braid that I don't have, so I need to figure that out, because it's sold out on 1, 2, 3 Stitch right now. I have time to deal with that, so it's not like the end of the world. But I gotta get that, and I gotta sort that out. It's Krynic number 4 braid 3231. We'll see. Oh, and the Groom Mouse, he has back stitching, obviously, which is, I guess it's a specialty stitch, and then his eyes are Smyrna crosses, which I feel like you can barely tell, but they are. And then for the Juliet, she has Smyrna crosses and some beads. So, but I'm familiar with beading at this point. I like to put beads on, so I'm not intimidated by that. But I really like these little mice. They're really cute. The Just Nan projects are really cutesy, very, like, they have a lot of, like, dynamic properties to them, you know? I feel like it's a really fun way to get creative with cross stitch. So those are all of my finishes and fully finishes. It's nice to get a few of those bigger ones out of the project roll. I still have a few more. I was trying to find frames for something else too, but they didn't really have anything. The Michaels that I went to, I mean, I guess it's like all the Michaels, they were having a sale and it was like buy one, get one free on the frames. So like the bigger frames and like that nice wooden frame, I think they were like $50 a piece, but I got them both for 50. So I basically paid 25 each. So, and then I used a coupon on the other frame and that one ended up being like 10 bucks. So got a pretty decent deal on frames because that can add up really quick. And then I just ordered that adhesive mat board from Joann's, and again, nobody get mad. Who in 40 years is gonna be like, oh, grandma's lady man, that's what I want. I mean, maybe if it were me, I would want grandma's lady man, but I don't know. So then I had one new start, and this is a Stitch Sprout design. This is the Mushroom Sal, and I honestly was just feeling off the past couple weeks, just feeling really like I wanted to do stuff, and then I would sit down to do the thing, and then I would be like, God, I don't want to do anything. Like, I just felt like I wanted to be doing stuff, but none of the things I was doing were making me happy. And every time I'd put like 3 stitches into something, and I'd be like, okay, I'm over this. Like, I just don't want to do it. So I was like, maybe if I just start something new, it would help. So I was like, let me start something new, but something small. So I reached into my pile of kits, and I pulled this out because it's one I've been wanting to stitch for a while. It has a lot of colors. It's got, I was telling Tara about this, and I was like, oh my God, there's so many colors. I think there's like 25 different colors, and this chart is 86 by 86. So there's a lot of color changes, but it's small enough that it doesn't feel daunting. So I hopefully have shown you what it looks like at this point, or what it's supposed to look like. I have a hanging thread, so I'm gonna hide that. Here is where I'm at so far. It's in the hoop because I'm probably gonna finish it soon. Please don't mind this entire needle just hanging off my hoop. But yeah, they're just like a bunch of little mushrooms, and then around the outside there'll be like a bunch of bugs that I haven't started yet. And like, I kitted this back when I was still keeping floss in with my project, so I have like these cards, but you can see like lots and lots of fun colors that go really nicely together. And this fabric is 36 count mocha, light mocha, Edinburgh linen by Zweigart. And I'm just gonna probably make like a little, just like decorative hanger. It'll be like a nice little fall decoration. I think it'll be cute. It's super cute. I love the Stitch Sprout designs. Like, just the like use of color and like the cutesy littleness of it. I love little things. So that was my only new start, and I just like left it in the bag that I had it kitted in. Like, I put all my kits in these like cheap Amazon bags, and then when I actually start stitching, I move them over to like a nicer like fabric bag. Well, this one's not very nice because I made it, but you can see the giant rat's nest of thread on the back there. But I usually move them over, but because this is such a quick project, I'm like, it's fine. I'll just do it really quick. So then I've been working on my Quacker sampler, and this one I had done my giant long dog as my work project, and that worked out really well. So I thought, let me do another kind of more monochromatic piece as my next like big work project that because I have a lot of downtime at work. I mean, literally, I'm doing downtime at work right now. But like, I just have a great deal of downtime. And so when I'm not working, it's like, what am I going to do? Stare at the wall? Like, no, let me do something. So I've been doing stuff with my hands, and it has helped to not only get a huge dent in a lot of my projects, but I don't know, make me not feel so useless. So I had swapped, or once I finished that one, I was like, oh, let me do the Quacker Sampler, because as you can see from the finished product, it's just a single color thread on some blue linen. But for some reason, like, the long dog was really easy to do at work. And I don't know if it's because that was a paper pattern that I was working off of. Like, it just made it easier to move around. I don't know what it is, but this one has not been so fun at work. It's just kind of a pain at work. So I think I'm gonna not have this be my work stitch anymore. I prefer to do this, ever since I got that Lowry stand, like, all I want to do is stitch in the Lowry stand. It's so much nicer. But I guess before I yammer on too much, I have since shown you where I was, and here is, oh, wow. So here is where I am now. Like, last time, I think I either had one of these ducks left, or I had just finished the duck. And then I have very slowly, this took me forever, I finished this motif last night. So you can see, I guess I like worked over this way, and now I'm kind of coming back this way. I enjoy doing this in the stand. I don't like doing this like in a hoop in hand. I don't know what it is. It's just, for some reason, I find it frustrating. You know what it is? It's because there's so much excess fabric, and it just flops everywhere when I hold the hoop in my hand. And that annoys me. So I'm stitching this 1/2 on the called for, which, so this is being stitched 1/2 on the called for, which is a 32 count blue spruce Belfast linen by Zweigart. And the floss is the called for, which I have way too much of, and it is Gentle Art linen. So I have quite a lot. I've used up one full skein so far. That got me over 2,000 stitches. And I have this much left of my second skein, which, you know, I'm going to have so much of this left over. But it is a good color. It's a nice kind of dingy white. So the first motif is kind of like a pond, and you can see the, what are they called, pussy willows or whatever, and like some fish in the pond. And then we have some ducks flying, and they've got some feathers. And then over here, it's all like kind of mushrooms and acorns and stuff. And then the next one I'm going to do, and I was kind of saving this for tonight when I just want to like kind of tune out and watch TV, but it's like the two like duck heads that are pressed together to make kind of like a heart shape. And that one's kind of more like blockish stitching. So it'll make me feel a lot more accomplished, because when you have a lot of these like thinner strands of stitching, I find that like that's kind of annoying when you want to travel so badly on the back, but you can't because you don't want it to show through. But I've gone back and forth on this a million times, because this was supposed to be 2/2, and I was really self-conscious about how I messed it up, and I felt like it didn't look right. But the more I do it, the more I'm like, it looks kind of rustic, looks kind of cute. I'm over it at this point. I'm glad that I could move past that, because I'm over 4,000 stitches into this now, so there's no going back. We ain't starting it over. I don't know what I'm gonna bring to work instead of that, though, because a lot of my projects are a little bit more need to be done in a stand at this point. I'll probably bring a lot of my littler stuff and just bang that out at work, because there's something so satisfying about finishing all these little projects. Okay, next I put some work into Beach Rat. Now, the last time I showed you this, I had like just the tip of the tail done and a little bit of the leaves. This is an Artsy Housewife pattern. I'm stitching mine in the called for threads, but I'm stitching it on 32 count Darling David by, I don't know, I abbreviate all of my fabric dyers on here. So it just says TMS, but I don't know who that is. That, I've forgotten my own abbreviation. So I'll try to figure that out, and I will pop it up here, because this was free fabric that I got at StitchCon, and it like was perfect for this pattern. So I'm doing the one without words because I don't actually like the beach, but I do love a seagull. So I'm stitching this 1/1, and here is how far I've gotten. So honestly, like this is definitely one I prefer to stitch in the stand, just because I like 1/1 stitching. I know some people are very like against it. I really like it, but I also really like it in this nerd hoop because it keeps it really taut, makes it really easy. On like a loosey-goosey fabric, it's a lot harder to do. But I really am loving how itty-bitty this is coming out. It is super duper cute, and I need to put some more work in this because I need to finish this before October, or get pretty close, because I'm going to Stitch North and people that I started this with will be there, and I don't want to be like, hey, I didn't finish any of our sals, my bad. So I need to buckle down and put some more work in this. But honestly, once I got going on this one, it went pretty quickly. Like I feel like I didn't struggle. Like if you have the right lighting and you're in the right mood, 1/1 stitching is not too bad. The next thing I worked on was one of my New Year's Eve 12x12s. This is one of the Mill Hill Santas. These are the Northwood Santas. So these are the first three, or this is from the first set of 3 that came out back in 1999. I'm trying to collect and stitch them all, which they release 3 a year. So I probably, maybe for this year's 12x12, I'll just start 12 Mill Hill Santas. Wouldn't that be obnoxious? So I've already finished the Pine Tree Santa, and this one is the Holly Berries Santa, and then the third one is the Juniper Santa, which I'm pretty sure I bought. So I got the, oh, there's hanging thread on this too, because this is one of those where I was like I got like bored halfway through, and then I just was like, okay, bye. We're done here. But I bought, I think I showed you guys in haul at one point, I bought this like magnetic frame, and you can see like it pinches around the paper so you don't crush the paper, which apparently is only a me problem. Nobody else grips their projects like they're gonna fall. Like I don't know, like I like had mentioned when I was at StitchCon, I was like, yeah, like I'm always afraid I'm gonna crush the paper because I, you know, grip it so hard, and they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, holding the project. Like, are you crazy? You know? I don't know. I hold things really tightly, and so like I always, on the edges of my paper, they start to like kind of fold out. So I got this frame, and this has helped a lot. It's a light wood, and it's got magnets, but it's definitely heavier than if you were just holding the paper, but still, it's gonna save me a lot of stress. So I didn't get too much further. I think I added, like, I think all this green and like the darker blue was in here, and everything else I added in. So these aren't like massive projects, but they do have a lot of beading and stuff like that, which makes them a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to that. And I love, they all have like different beards. So like that one has a very swoopy beard. The previous one I did had like a big, like very big knot, like it almost looked like a big bow. They're just really cute. So, okay, so after that, I took a couple days and I like forced myself to sit down and work on this project because I've been intimidated by it for some reason. And this is the oldest project I have. It's the only one I have left. Oh, no, it's not the only one I have left from 2023, but it's the only one I have that has touched its own whip birthday. And so this is the Epic Pokemon Generation 1 by Lord Libidin. And I should have a picture up of where I was before. I'm stitching this on 18 count white Aida from a brand called Kato. The Aida is dirty, and you can see it on some of the unstitched part. It will get stitched over. I bought this on Amazon, and when I took it out of the package, like it was in a sealed plastic package, but it was like covered in dirt, and I was so irritated. And I washed it in my bathtub, but I couldn't get like the dirt spots out. But I was like, well, this is full coverage, should be fine, not a big deal. So I'm not like, I'm annoyed, but it's like, whatever, what can you do? So here is the project. It's hard to hold it in frame because I can't see my viewfinder. But I know that I added all of this like kind of tealish blue over here in the Tangela, and then over here I kind of kept up with that same color. And then I came over to this side, and I started filling in a lot of like the spots where there was like maybe just a couple stitches that needed to be done, because there's a lot of color. I think there's like 150 colors in this. So there's some that are like you only need a couple stitches in an area, and that's, you know, for finer details. So I started working on a lot of that. I got several hundred stitches put into this. Just put it up on my shoulder, that's easier. But then you can see how crazy my hair is, so maybe it's not. So I don't know, I felt good working on it. I tried putting this on my Lowry stand because I did buy the adapting piece for these frames. I don't know if I just need to sit with it and play with it and finagle with it, but it wasn't the vibe. Like, it was too hard. I don't know. And then I tried putting this on the legs that I have for, like, because I have a stand that it's like, it just holds like scroll frames up. Again, kind of sucked. So I just hold the frame in my hand and I stitch it in my hand, like on my lap. Part of the problem is like this Aida, it's like, it's really loose in here. I don't know if you guys can kind of see. It's very loose. It's easy to kind of pull tight in the center, but the edges, as it kind of pans out to the edges, it gets really loose. There's really nothing I can do about it. I have tried and tried to put this in here so many different ways. I think there's like a slight bow in my rod, and that's why it's not holding it completely taut all the way across. I love the concept of a scroll frame. Like, I think that it's like gonna be good, and then it just isn't. So I don't know. I don't know why I keep buying them. But this Aida, I also don't want to use a hoop, so I don't know. I'm just gonna suffer. But my goal is to keep plugging away at that. I know it's been a while since I worked on it, but I do want to get it done. So, and then the last stitching project I worked on was my year in stitches. Again, I'm a little bit behind. Oh, and I'm a bit behind on updating you guys on this one. So there's a lot to talk about here. Okay, so my notes say that the last one that I showed you guys was the silverware. So that means that we are on this one, which is a brain. So the brain, I'm checking, I have like an entire like document of just like what the date was, what the item was, where I got the pattern, and like a quick blip of like an explanation so I don't forget. So the brain was, I took a mental health day from work. Yeah, it's just been, life has been a lot. I don't know what to tell you, but this was a pixel art that I found online. The next one is moldy bread. That one is self-drafted. That one is because we were buying bread, and within 2 days it would all mold, like so fast. I think our apartment is just really humid, so we started putting it in the fridge, and that solved all the problems. Oh wow, I did not realize these are all from July. So this is a little suitcase, self-drafted, because I packed at like literally the last second for my trip. This is a baked potato, self-drafted. We went to this barbecue restaurant in Illinois, and they had this thing called a twice baked potato, and I was like, what is that? And so I got it, and I was like looking God in the face. It was like the greatest thing I've ever eaten in my life. Definitely want that again. This is a taco. This one is from Cute Kawaii Cross Stitch, and it's because the event that I was at, I was there as press for Polish and Beauty Expo, and they have a meet and greet, and like the last 2 years that I've gone, they like did Italian food. This year they did tacos. They did not, like they served corn tortillas, but they didn't heat them up. So they were like that gross, like gummy texture. And I don't know. It was just like, Rob just kept leaning over to me and being like, white people taco night. And I was like, shut up, dude. Like, this is not my fault. This is just a little nail polish. This is from Makoto Ozu. And that was the day of the actual event, Polish and Beauty Expo. So it's just a huge shopping event for indie nail polish. It's really fun. I've gone, I guess, 3 years now. I love it. I spend too much money every year. This is a bottle and glass of wine. That's from Makoto Ozu. That's because I was going to wedding plan with my sister. She was going to come over and we were going to work together because our weddings are a few months apart. But instead we just sat and bitched at each other the whole time about stuff. So that was I felt like that was kind of appropriate. And then I put this little Le Creuset pot right here. This is a Makoto Ozu pattern. And that was just because I had pretty much finished putting together my wedding registry. This is the UPS logo. This one I self-drafted. I spent forever looking for a UPS, and I finally get in there, and the lady's like, why won't this box scan? Because it was a FedEx package, Hillary. So I was like, all right, you know what? We'll try this one again tomorrow. My brain has been everywhere. This is a sheep. This is a pixel art I found. I took a needle felting class at my local library. This is the Microsoft logo, self-drafted. That was the day that Microsoft, went down for everybody. This is self-drafted. It's the H Mart logo. Rob and I just went to H Mart. I love H Mart. It's a great grocery store. This is a watermelon, and this one is self-drafted because I bought a tiny watermelon. I love those like watermelons that are like this big, and then you can cut it in half, and then it's like you just have a bowl of watermelon. I don't know. There's something just really whimsical about that. This is a like earbud. I got new headphones. I got the new Samsung Galaxy Buds. And that is, I think that was a pixel art. And then this is a crochet hook, or it's supposed to be a crochet hook. It's a pixel art. I took a crochet class at my local library, and I made a granny square. It was great. This is a book I got from Pixel Art. I read a whole book in one sitting at work, and then proceeded to do the same thing for like the next 4 days in a row. So that was kind of my week. This is a footprint. This is a Makoto Ozu pattern, and that was just me getting my steps in. These are the Olympic rings, Makoto Ozu. That was the opening ceremony of the Olympics. Next, we have a s'more. This is from Cute Kawaii Cross Stitch. And Rob and I went to my sister's and her fiance's, and we had a little bonfire and made s'mores. The next day, I went over to my grandma's, and I had her teach me how to make her goulash. This is actually from Arranging Pasta by Ink Circles, right? That's an Ink Circles pattern? Yes. And I just changed the colors a little bit because I wanted them to be like a macaroni noodle. This is a lock, and this is a pixel art. This one, it's kind of like a weird convoluted story, but okay. I went to my gym, and I like put my gym bag in the locker, and you like set your own code, and you twist the lock, and then you can go work out. And I always take my engagement ring off and put it in the locker, and I got like 5 minutes into my workout, and I was like, I have a really bad feeling that I didn't lock my locker. And I don't know if I've talked about this on this channel, but I am obsessive compulsive. I was diagnosed at a pretty young age. And so I've kind of learned like what is a real thought and what is a compulsive thought. And you have to learn how to, control those things. And so I was like, no, like you've been doing really well. Like, don't give in to this. This is a compulsive thought. Like you're just being a little bit like you've had a rough couple of weeks. And so you're just having intrusive thoughts. And so I walked on the treadmill for another 5 minutes, and I was like, you know what? Intrusive thought or not, like I don't want to risk it because my engagement ring is in there. And so it would just make me feel better if I went down there and I took a picture of my locker locked. And then that way I can look at the picture of the locker locked, and then I can tell myself like, you locked it. So I get off the treadmill, I go all the way downstairs, and I get to my locker, and I make eye contact with the locker, and I'm like, okay, it's locked, it's good. But I have compulsions, and so like I always tend to pull and triple check that a lock is locked. And so even though the locker was in the locked position, I went and I pulled the handle and it swung right open because the lock was broken. And I was like, this is the one time OCD has come in handy. So moved all my stuff to a different locker. So yeah. And then I told Rob, and it freaked him out because he called it something synchronicity. He called it a synchronicity. This is a computer. It's a pixel art that I modified. So I got into work that day, and I turned my computer on, and I like clicked on an email, and it just instantly, my computer just was like, nope, we're done. And the whole screen turned blue, and then it just gave like a giant frowny face, like literally like the one I put on here, and then it died. And I was like, why would you do that? Like, who programmed that? So that was a day. This is the Google Sheets logo, which I drafted myself. I spent some time fixing my neglected nail polish spreadsheet. This is an airplane. Rob's parents flew in and we went and picked him up at the airport. The next day, I went to a Tigers game with my dad. So, oh, sorry, I keep forgetting to tell you guys. The plane was a pixel art. This baseball was a pixel art, and me and my dad went to see the Tigers game together. The next day, this is a train. This is from Makoto Ozu's books. So Rob and I's parents finally met for the first time. Rob and I have been together for 10 years. We avoided it for 10 years. It went all right. It went well. It went fine. It was good, but I still have anxiety about it. So, but we went to this restaurant in Ann Arbor called the Gandy Dancer, and it was like situated right next to the train track. So that's why I put a train. Next, this is an ice cream cone from Makoto Ozu. That's just because Rob and I had pizza and ice cream for dinner. This is a little speech bubble that I drafted. I just had a bad day that day, so that was what I did. And then the next one is this umbrella, which is a modified pixel art. It just rained like crazy that day. And that's the end of what I got. So that's all the way up till the 6th. So I'm 10 days behind. It's been crazy, but look at that. There's so many. It looks so chaotic. It looks so hectic. I can wear it as a blanket. And like a little scarf. So I don't know. What am I gonna do with this when I'm done? I keep asking myself, I'm like, why did I do this to myself? I really like it though. It's fun to look at. So I guess I'll do my haul next, and then other crafts, and then books, and then I guess I'll be done. So I did place an order to Top Knot. I don't remember what, I don't know. I think maybe there was a sale. I don't remember. Maybe I just want to spend money. You ever get one of those moods where you're like, I want to buy things. So I got a quirky Quaker from Darlene and Whimsy Designs. I'm kind of obsessed with these. This is the cow. I believe I have the sloth. They had a couple free ones that I downloaded as well. But my aunt is like, she loves cows. Like, you know how like there are some women who like, they just have an animal and that's the animal they fixate on, and then everything in their home is that animal. That's my aunt with cows. So I thought I would make this for her. And then I got a couple of ink circles patterns. I love ink circles patterns. So I grabbed arranging mushrooms because I'm in a mushroomy mood. So you can see like the arranging series, I like them because they're very simple, and they kind of are like mirror images, but it's not like the what do you call those? Mandalas. I was like, it's not like the Mandalorians. What? It's not like the mandalas where it's like you're doing the same pattern basically 4 times. You only kind of do it like twice. So that's nice. And then I have coffee time and tea time, and I didn't know that they had this, but they also have cocoa time. And I was like, is this an excuse to add hot cocoa to my coffee tea bar? I think so. So I would like to start all 3 of these at some point and frame them in like 3 similar frames and hang them above my coffee tea bar and what will now be a cocoa bar. And then this is from the Proper Stitcher, and this is Steampunk Penelope. And I remember when I first saw these on 123 Stitch, there's her and then there's like a man, but I was like obsessed with the girl bird. I love her little purse flinging out behind her and her tiny little legs in the dress. So I only bought her for now, and I will stitch her, and then depending on how I feel, maybe I'll buy, I think his name is Percival, but I just really thought this one was super cute. And then I got such an amazing gift. Like, you guys are not gonna believe this. Maybe you will. I don't know. Maybe you don't care. But I have this friend. She's like one of the best friends that I've made. And I met her through my nail polish channel. She's a swatcher, and her name is Quality Nails on Instagram. And she lives out in California. I live here in Michigan, but we've gotten the chance to meet up a few times. We meet every year at Polish and Beauty Expo, and we've just become like really good friends. And so this year for my birthday, she sent me something just amazing. Oh, I think I showed you guys, I made her the little koala, like a couple episodes ago you guys saw. But she got me this book, and I could not believe, I've never seen this. This is the Frog and Toad cross stitch book, and it's a Japanese cross stitch book, and it's all frog and toad themed patterns. Like, I was blown away because I'm like, this is really thoughtful because, we bonded over nail polish, so it's like usually we buy each other nail polish stuff, but she's really good about getting like me gifts that pertain to my other interests. And like, let me see if I can show you guys. So this is one of the patterns, and I feel like this would make for like a great birth sampler because there's all this like empty space here, so you could put like the baby's name and like their weight and date and all that. One of my favorites though, they have the cookie scene. I mean, iconic scene where they're like eating the cookies and he's like, "We must stop eating," he cried as he ate another. Like, I don't know, that's just so funny to me. And then I'll just show you guys one more because there's quite a few designs in here. But I loved this one where he's carrying 2 giant ice cream cones. So I just thought this was such a like thoughtful, sweet, amazing gift. So I really appreciated that. I'm like so excited. I don't even know which one I want to start yet, but maybe the 2 ice creams one. So that's haul. So let me show you other crafts really quick. I finished one sock. So I have this. This is the, what are these? The decathlon socks. And I definitely regret making it this long because now the second one has to be this long. But I really like the colors, and it's this weird kind of rib. And I did force myself to start the second sock, but obviously I haven't gotten very far because this is just, this was during that time where my mood, I was like, I don't want to do anything. But it's super cute. You know what I don't love is showing socks on the internet and being like, hey guys, look at how big my feet are. When I was in high school, kids used to call me Peggy Hill because of how massive my feet are. And then this sock, I just haven't been in like a knitting mood. Maybe I gotta play passenger princess while Rob drives us to my grandparents tomorrow because we're celebrating a bunch of birthdays. So maybe I'll work on this sock then. But here is, I'm working on the gusset decreases on this one, which I don't know why. I just hate doing the gusset. Like, I just don't like it. It's not my vibe. But I do like the way that it's like you purl 3 and then you slip one purlwise with the yarn in the back, and it creates that kind of like ridge there. So it looks really cool. And this is the Lisa Frank yarn, and this is kept in the bag that Whittier Stitches made for me, and I'm obsessed with it. So just kind of enjoying my time with this sock. It's not like I'm in any rush. I've got plenty of socks to go around. So yeah, that's kind of it for other crafts. So I will just do a quick run through of some of the books that I've read recently. Just like a couple sentences on each one, so nothing too in-depth. And then I guess I'll talk about plans and we'll be done. And if you want to follow my Goodreads, I'll try to put it in my description box if I remember. But the first book I read was The Duke and I, which is like the first in the Bridgerton series. I loved the TV series. So I was like, oh, I'll probably like these books, even though I don't read romance books. So I was like, oh, why did I think I was going to like these books? It's not like it was bad. I feel like it followed the TV series followed the book pretty well. But the Daphne thing, everybody knows what I'm talking about. You know, like the forcing herself on a man thing. It was actually worse in the book, and I was just like, oh, you know, it's gross. So it kind of like made me not want to read the next one. I don't know if I should. Let me know if you guys have read the second one, and if it's like not that gross, then maybe I'll read it. And I'll pop pictures of the books up so you guys can see them. The next one I read was called The Lost Village, and it was pretty engaging. I read it all in one go. That was the book that I read in one shot, and then I put it on my Year in Stitches. It was fun. I feel like if I put it down and picked it back up again, maybe I wouldn't have enjoyed it as much. I feel like that was a really good, like, read it in one shot kind of a book and kind of absorb it all. And like, cause the feeling of it kind of compounds as you read it. So if you set it down, you kind of like deflate a little bit. So definitely one of those. It's short enough. It's like only a couple hundred pages, I think. I read this one called Brother from, I think her name is Anya Alborn. This one, if you don't like gross stuff, like, or also murderers, like, don't read this. I really liked it. I liked the way that the author wrote. I would definitely read. Actually, I think I have read another book by her. And it's supposed to be like kind of like horror. The twist at the end was pretty gross and pretty wild. And I was like, whoa, okay. And then immediately I was like, hey, Dad, here, you want to read this gross book? Because my dad, like a couple years ago, he was like, here, you should read this. And he handed me Flowers in the Attic. And I was like, all right, cool. And I read it. And I was like, oh, that was really gross. And like me and my dad, we like pass really gross, weird books back and forth. But when I told somebody, I was like, oh yeah, my dad recommended, like when they were talking about Flowers in the Attic. And I was like, yeah, my dad recommended I read that. They were like weirded out. And I was like, what? Is that weird? But I guess I could see how that might be a little bit weird. But it's not weird. Trust me. We just pass back and forth like messed up books. I read a book that my sister recommended me, or well, she lent me the book, and it's called All's Well. Very trippy. Definitely the type of book that I think warrants a second read, because you don't really know what's real, what's in the narrator's head. Unfortunately, I don't reread books. It's just not my style. There's only like 2 books that I will read multiple times because of just like personal feelings towards the books. I just really enjoy them. And they're more like a nostalgic thing than anything, but for the most part, I don't really reread books. I don't really rewatch a lot of movies outside of like a small handful. I just am not a media repeater, I guess. So I won't reread it, but it was still pretty good. I got this book called We Used to Live Here from the library, and I'm not usually like a haunted house person. It's not really my thing. I just don't find them that scary. And I didn't necessarily find this book scary, but I found it really engaging. They had some kind of puzzles in there. There was like Morse code on some of the pages, and it added like one letter and you could, you know, write it all down, get a sentence. So it was really engaging, and I did read this one in one go as well. I liked it more than I would have expected, and I would recommend it to anybody who likes that like kind of like haunted house type stuff. I read a book called Gerald's Game by Stephen King. All I can say is Stephen King loves sexual assault. So don't read this book if you're not in the mind space for that, because that's pretty much this book, like in a nutshell. Stephen King has a thing for women being assaulted in his books. And kids, women and children, specifically female children. That's what he loves. That's all I've like gleaned over the years from reading Stephen King books. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I've watched the movie, but I don't know. And then I read a couple of short stories this past week, and I read, I think it's We Have Always Lived in the Castle, and that book was really fun. I don't know, could you call that fun? It was It was strange, and I didn't realize until I looked it up on Goodreads that it was by the author who wrote The Lottery. And to me, like, The Lottery is one of those short stories that I read in high school that always stuck in my head, and I never knew the author. And she's also the woman who wrote The Haunting of Hill House, which I haven't read, but I did watch the Netflix series. So it's like 150 pages, maybe. Really quick read. I really liked the narrator, the main character, I guess she was, and the way she talked was very like repetitive, and like it really drove these points home. It was very interesting, and I really liked that book. Again, really quick read. And then the last book I read was one called The Test, and it was about like the British immigration test. I got what it was trying to say, I think. I mean, sometimes I don't always, grasp symbolism. Sometimes I need somebody to tell me. But I felt like I understood it, but I felt like it was kind of like a little heavy-handed. But it was only 100 pages, so I mean, how much can you really say in 100 pages? Still, it was a fun, quick read, easy to read, so it's been storming all day, can you tell? The lighting is bad. So as far as plans go, definitely want to get more work on Pokemon, and I definitely want to put more work into Quacker while I'm home, and I need to pick a new work project. Aside from that, I really don't have any hard plans right now. I just need to get like back into like the right mindset. Just things have been so busy. Wedding planning has been picking up. Like I said, a lot of family stuff. So it's just been kind of like all over the place. So with all that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys are enjoying your day, and I'll see you in a couple weeks. Bye.